What's up? What's up? What's up, you guys? Listen, welcome to Girl Talk. I'm excited about this conversation. I've got some of my sisters with me, and we're going to talk about faith in every season, faith in every circumstance. Tonight, we're going to kind of have a focus on boundaries and relationships and many other different things. So, do me a favor, do us a favor, and take a moment to share this conversation. Share this conversation with your friends, with your girlfriends. Take a moment to grab your snacks and listen. We're going to have a really, really good conversation. Okay. So I'm going to introduce you to my sisters. We're going to go one by one to give them a chance to share a little bit about themselves before we get started on tonight. Okay. So I'm going to start with Miss Kramer. I'm going to start with Miss Kramer. Come on, sis. How you doing, girl?
Hey. So you just want me to tell a little bit about myself, Jess?
Yeah, tell a little bit about yourself, what you do, who you are, what you're working on, your business, everything, girl.
Okay. So my name is Kramer. I am the owner of Agape Therapeutic Solutions, where I am a licensed mental health professional, licensed clinical social worker, and board approved clinical social worker. Of course, I go to the awesome Church of Destiny of Faith, where I met my beautiful sister Jessica. Um, as far as what I got going on is that I'm just trying to currently see my business grow as much as possible, and in the process help others grow as well.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I love that. Hey, Shavonda. Shavonda's waving in the comments. Hey, the first person that commented, mom teacher lessons. Hey, y'all. All right, so next I'm going to bring up Amanda. Hey, girl.
Hey.
What's up?
Oh, you know.
Tell us a little bit about you, Amanda.
Well, my name is Amanda. I don't know if you heard that part yet. I work for golfballs.com in the graphics department. So I do a little bit of graphics, but I also have a very small business of my own where I do photography and some custom tees.
Yes, show us the
Um,
girl. Show us the shirt.
Yes. I've got some new shirts that are out and live on my website right now, so that's exciting.
Yes.
Other things I'm working on is just building the photography business and doing a little bit of writing.
Awesome. Awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome. Awesome. Y'all say, hey, Amanda. Hey, Candace. Candace is in the comments. Y'all going to see Candace. She's going to be on one of the girl talks in the future. All right, Joe. Hey, girl.
Hey girl, hey.
What's happening, Joe?
Oh, nothing much. Sitting here sipping on my tea, ready for girl talk.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes. Tell us about you, girl.
Oh, well, I am Joe, but Johanna Zeno is my name.
Mhm.
I am the owner of Juicing Joe, which is a 100% juicing company that I started a little bit over 2 years ago now. I am married to my wonderful husband, Terrence Zeno. We will actually be celebrating our 5 years next year, so we're going to do a big thing.
Wow.
For that, I have three beautiful kids. We are a blended family. We have six. Right now we have a few projects that we're working on, so
Okay.
just be on the lookout for it. But other than that, hey, I'm just here. I continue to have a yes unto the Lord and just to be a servant vessel. So yeah, that's about it. And here for some girl talk.
Come
Yeah.
on, come on. Let me tell y'all, Joe is always ready for a girl talk. She's always the one that's trying to set up girl nights. Like I remember one night, so we got two more sisters that's gonna join us, but let me tell this right quick.
Oh no.
I'm not gonna
Speak
say,
real quick.
I'm just saying. I remember that time you had us get together and we had sushi made
Oh
in front of
yeah.
us. We were at one of our friends'
Mm.
houses, and she had someone make sushi right in front of us, just girl
Yeah.
time, and like they served us. We're sitting at our friend's kitchen table being served sushi
Yeah.
and juice, and it was. Oh gosh, she's
That
always
sounds like
ready.
my kind of girl time.
Yes, like Joe's always ready for some girl time. I'm telling you. I'm
Oh
telling
yeah.
you. All right. So up next we have Chantel. Hey,
Hello.
hey, girl.
Hey,
Hey.
how's it going?
How's it going?
Good. Well, my name's Chantel Zenon. I am the wife of Hakeem Zenon, and I have three beautiful children, my daughter Layla, Amir, my son, and my youngest daughter, Serene. And I'm currently a new published author. I wrote a book called It's Just Hair. And so I'm really excited. I'll be launching the book hopefully this week once my website is completely finished. But I love other things besides writing. And just tonight, I'm excited to get to talk to each and every one of you and also be transparent about my journey and some things that I learned along the way. So I look forward to tonight.
Awesome. We look forward to chatting with you too, sis. Congratulations on the book. I'm sure you'll probably tell us a little bit more about it as we get into conversation and stuff. All right. So last but certainly not least, we have the Sarah Jackson.
Almost didn't make it, huh? I'm here.
Yes.
I'm here, sis.
Oh, yay. Okay. I'm Sarah. I'm a stay-at-home mom. This is what I'm working on. If you can see these three right there. That's my life. I have three beautiful kids, Lincoln, Zuri, and our newest one, Elliot. He is 3 months old today. And so I am a busy mom homeschooling my 8-year-old, keeping up with my wild and fierce little toddler. I say toddler, she's like 3.5 years old. And then being a mom to a newborn. So my hands are full these days. Half the time I feel like I'm losing battles, but I'm just gonna just harp on the ones that I'm winning. So, but I'm married to Daryl Jackson. We go to First Assembly in Youngsville, and he is the care pastor there. And I am privileged to work with the worship team as well. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Well, guys, listen. Hey, Connectra. Hey, Rachel. I don't know if you guys are able to see any of the comments, but folks are saying hey to y'all in the comments. But so listen up. So tonight is about girl talk. It's about us just sitting around. We're all in 6 different spaces, but in this girl talk, we're all in the same room where we're sitting around a coffee table, eating snacks. Eating snacks and just talking with our sisters about different things. And the heart behind this, hey Crystal, the heart behind this is that there's realness here, and that someone can glean something from your story, your real story about a certain issue or a certain thing that you may have walked through or are currently walking through. And so that's the heart behind this. And so we are overcomers. We are overcomers. I wanted to tell Sarah that. She was like, oh, she's got her 3 cute babies. And so how old is Elliot now, y'all? She recently had Elliot. How old is he?
3 months old.
3 months.
Yes.
Oh, and he's a cutie pie. He's a cutie pie.
He is. He looks just like his daddy. I just incubated him for 9 months.
Yeah.
That's not Daryl.
Yes, indeed. So something that we wanted to kind of chat through on tonight was about boundaries and relationships and self-care. All of those topics kind of came up for us. So we can kick it off with a little bit about boundaries. So girls, like what's a boundary? What are boundaries? What are they?
Often you got to listen, we ready to go in. Like when I think of boundaries, I think of like just the limit, the parameter, of things. But boundaries can be a thing. It is like just in general for just anyone and anybody. But the difference I think for me is the boundaries and then the unhealthy boundaries. You know what I mean? And the unhealthy boundaries for me personally is anything that vexes my spirit or that interferes with my well-being. That's how I would define that for myself.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Anybody else want to chime in on that?
I think when we think about boundaries, boundaries are specific for every relationship. And I think some people think you can apply boundaries, like have one specific boundary for every area of your life. And you need a boundary for your close, intimate relationships with friends. You need boundaries in your marriages, your relationships with your intimate partners. I know people it doesn't sing, but it is. Even in the workplace and things like that. But I think the biggest thing about boundaries, when I think about it, is the boundary is more so for yourself than the other people.
Mhm.
That's
And
right.
the only boundary we have setting is with ourselves.
Right.
That's why our boundaries oftentimes are not respected, is because we don't set those boundaries with ourselves first.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
true. So what
That's
what does
good.
that look like? Setting the boundaries for ourselves. Because I know sometimes we, if you're anything like how I say how I am, but really how I used to be, because I'm getting better at it. Y'all know me. Y'all
Yeah.
know, yes, she's just keep going and going and going. But like what, because we don't want to disappoint people, we don't want to upset people, we don't want to let people down, like so
Mhm.
what does that look like? Setting boundaries with certain people.
Mm.
I think sometimes it's just learning when to say no.
Uh-huh.
It's hard for us to say no a lot, especially when it's something you really want to do. It's something you're
Yeah.
passionate about. But
Mhm.
if you already have too many things you're committed to and you just don't have the energy for it, if you haven't fed yourself enough or given yourself enough self-care, you
Yeah.
can't say no, or you're not giving them your best anyway.
Mm.
Right.
That's good. That's
True.
good.
One thing that has helped me to set boundaries is when I started to commit myself to giving myself self-care
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
noticing what it is that I was being pulled at, as far as like separating myself to pour into myself. And then I was able to think clearly on what is it that I no longer need anymore in my life. And it's easier to say no now because I know that it's going to take away from a part of my self-care, and a part of that has taken me out of depression. It's taken me out of fear, so I don't ever want to go back to that place. So it makes it
Yeah.
easier for me to set those boundaries because I know that it's a reason I'm saying no. It's not to be ugly, but it's to keep my cup full so that I can put
Yeah.
my energy in spaces that God is really leading me into, and
Mhm.
not just putting myself in so many different things. And I have to keep reminding myself that just because it's a good cause doesn't mean it's purposeful for your life. So
Mhm.
that's what I've been telling myself throughout this self-care journey this past, I would say, 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say to echo Chantel, like you figured it out. I'm figuring that out right now. My husband's like, Sarah, self-care. And I'm like, yes, okay, I have to make time for that. And that's if we're just gonna be transparent, this is
Yeah.
girl talk.
Yeah.
That's the season I'm in, like trying to figure out where do I put that self-care in,
Mhm.
because my tendency is okay, kids, husband, this, that. And what I'm realizing, and I've realized this for a while, that boundaries keep my relationships, well, boundaries keep arguments out of my relationships.
Mhm.
Because I kept on saying yes, yes, yes. And then I would start having arguments against people like, oh, they're
Yeah.
always asking, they're always that. And I'm like, well, Sarah, you're always saying yes, and you're
Yeah.
filling your cup too much, and really that's on you. And I'm like, okay. And I realized real quick, like saying no keeps arguments out of my relationships.
Mhm.
And so now I'm trying to navigate, okay, what does self-care look like for this mama, And
Mhm.
sometimes I'm like, I feel so selfish, and it's
No.
not. It's not. I'm like, no, I
No.
need this. I need this. So, oh yeah. So,
Yeah. And
Definitely.
just to piggyback on what Sarah is saying, like, I don't know who said it. It's like a phrase that say you teach people how to treat you by what it is that you actually allow. So when you think of boundaries, you have to think of that, as well as what is the parameters of things that we're setting, that we're putting in place for other people to see, but better yet, for them to respect. It's one thing for us to say no, but how is it that, we don't want to feel as if, we're upsetting anyone, or we're, going against what it is that they want, but for them to respect our no, because it's not that we're saying no because, we really don't want to do it, but it may not be good or great for us and what we may be dealing with, or even in our season. So for them to respect in the boundary of our no, like our no has power, and it can bring on so much freedom and so much liberation as well. But also too, in those boundaries, we also have to learn, and I'm doing that, learning how to say no. And it's hard, it really is hard at times to say no.
Mhm.
Joe, I think that means that we have to talk about like our capacity too, being more self-aware and being able to acknowledge like what we can handle. And
Yeah.
so what's good in one season may not be good in the next season. And it makes me think about the small things. I feel like electronics have made people think or assume or have more access than they should. And one of the boundaries that I had to learn is like, Kramer, you don't have to respond to every single text message. You don't have to answer every
Yeah.
single phone call. And it's okay for people to wait. Their emergency is not your emergency.
Right.
That's
Love
good.
it. I love it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's one boundary that I have. And I'm like, it's a lot of times I'll be like, okay, I'll look at it and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna respond and then charge it to my heart. And I forget to come back to it because at that moment I'm like, okay, this is how much space I have. How much space is needed to respond to this message. So I'll let you tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
And your boundary may look like, okay, if somebody's calling, you might have to respond as a text message. No offense, but I can't hold it right now. But I can text you. That's what I got.
Yeah.
That's good.
Girl, that's so good. I like how you said it. Their emergency is not my emergency. Okay.
Right.
And even when people, and I don't want nobody to get offended or anything, but like when people procrastinate on stuff and then at the end of something want you to do something about it, listen, your procrastination does not
This
dictate.
is not my procrastination.
My end, okay?
I had someone once say, your lack of preparation does not cause a sense of urgency for me.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's good.
That's
You
it.
write
That's
that down.
good. Woo! Girl,
That wasn't me. That was somebody I heard say that a long time ago. It
Hey,
was
but that's
something.
dope. That's
Yeah,
a
it was
nugget
something
right
like
there.
yes. But he said something like, your lack of preparation is not a cause for me to act urgently. Or
right,
something like that.
right, right. Yes,
That's good.
indeed. So what's the purpose? I know we kind of tapped into it a little bit. What's the purpose of boundaries? I know we already kind of tapped into that a little bit, but let's share a little bit more about that. Like why do we need boundaries for ourselves?
Man, life hard out here.
And
And we're all going through our own struggles, you know, on a day-to-day basis. So if we are not intentional first with ourselves, you know, on putting those things in place, and how can we expect other people, you know, to be intentional with our well-being, you know, of things. So it is necessary. It really is. Boundaries are necessary. And how Kramer was saying, like in relationships, in marriages, even to with our kids, boundaries are necessary. Even when it comes to our kids. I have a 15-year-old and baby, we got some things. You just don't step in this box right here. Stay over there, you know. Yeah.
What does that look like, Joe? Like developing boundaries with your children, you know, without hurting their little feelings or, you know, because, you know, you don't want to be, because I've heard parents say like, stay out of grown folks' business. You know what I mean? Like, don't tell your child that. Like, explain to them why why this information shouldn't be for them or something.
So one of the things that we teach our kids here is my yes has meaning and my no has a reason. So understanding both the yes and the no, they both come from a sincere place on the depth of my heart. And one thing it is that we do teach our kids, and knowing that is you have a voice. Now, I know with me growing up, if you was among the older people at the table, they'll tell you, shoo, go about your business, stay out of grown folks' business. But one thing that I've learned, even with my upbringing now, is sitting down talking to some of my elders, like my aunties and uncles. They have so much information that we missed out on when we were younger. So, you know, I tell my kids, of course, know your place, because you're still a child, you know, but at the same time, keep a wondering mind of wanting to know. If you're seeking wisdom, if you're seeking knowledge, and you're seeking some type of understanding and wanting to know more about what is taking place in the family that is in the capacity of your little mind and your being, then it's okay for you to voice, you know, use your voice and ask questions, but do it in the most respectful way. But one thing it is that we do say is, our yes, you know, it has meaning, and our no is for a reason. So if we say no, you need to exit, hey, there's a boundary there. If we say yes, then hey, it's all open game, it's open field, you know, so that's what that looks like in the Zeno household.
That's
Yeah.
Love.
That's good. We did have a question in the comments. If either of you want to answer, it says, do you ever feel the sense of abandonment of others when taking care of yourself?
Ooh.
I actually thought of something to say for that, if y'all don't mind.
Go ahead,
I
girl.
feel like people have too many people in their circle a lot of times. We have to learn how to trim down your core and have just a few people who are your core. And so I feel like even when you're taking care of yourself, if someone in your core reaches out to you and is in need, then you're going to drop whatever. That's not taking care of yourself. That's being there for someone, because they would do that for you too. That's who they are. But in reverse, you can only be that person to so many people as well. So I think you can, there are moments when you feel that, like you might be dropping someone, but I think it's a matter of evaluating your relationship with that person. Before putting that burden on yourself.
Yeah. I was going to say too, just kind of from a different perspective, when you're in relationship with someone, they understand the seasons that you're in. So there is no abandonment for someone that you're in a true relationship with you and who loves and values and cares about you. They should understand that. But I think too, it requires some self-reflection too, because if you're thinking about that you feeling like you're abandoning me, it quite may be that you are, and that you have to put in them the space or the time prior to setting the boundary that's causing you to kind of feel that way. So just kind of look at it from both sides, you know, like, okay, so have I given this relationship the time that it needs and it deserves? Or are they just really in their feelings just to be in their feelings?
Wow.
And sometimes I'm sorry.
Go ahead, girl.
Sometimes in relationships, we may not have had boundaries, and then we realize, hey, I maybe need to start setting new boundaries, and it may cause that person to feel abandoned because you're setting new parameters in a space that they weren't familiar with. So it kind of makes it a little adjustment, and sometimes relationships last and sometimes it doesn't because you have to adjust. But that adjustment is necessary, you know, for you to not get strained or pulled on too much, and for you to pivot into a new area in your life. So I've had to do that, and it's caused some hurt and some have adjusted, but overall it was from a sincere place of like, I'm exhausted. I need to put more energy, for instance, in my family, my kids, or even my own health. And my health was being depleted just because I was being pulled from every direction. But it wasn't anybody's fault but my own, because I didn't set those boundaries, you know? So that's like, I'm learning. I'm still learning.
So we all are. And I can, it's so easy for me to overspend myself. Like so easy to just, because if I see a need, I want to make sure that it's taken care of. And it's so easy to overspend myself. And so one of the things I wanted to kind of talk about before we kind of shift a little bit, somebody tell us about a time where you had an unhealthy boundary and you turned, you know, or someone took advantage of you, and how did you overcome that? How did you turn that around? And then we'll move on to our next topic.
I can use my life as an example. Growing as a young in my 20s, I was married really young, so I didn't really know that you weren't supposed to have a whole bunch of people at your house and you're married and you have a spouse. So I just have a free spirit. That's just me. I'm open. I have an open door. But throughout the years, I've learned to keep that safer. I mean, listening to wise women in the church or my mom or just family, you know, kind of share things with me because of their experience. But I can remember one friendship I had years ago where she kind of had no boundaries in a sense where she would notice things about my husband that wasn't like good, and so she would highlight it, and then I would go and fuss with Hakeem, and I'm like, I noticed you're doing this, but I really didn't notice it. It was just influenced. It was influenced by that particular relationship. I'm gonna be honest. Hey, I'm here to be transparent. And we laugh about it now, but it's like, certain things can cause you to think differently. And so, yeah. And he might have had those issues, but it was for me to deal with, not another person. So, yeah, like I've learned to not bring in certain personal matters in my friendships, and it's now more healthy. And then I've learned not to have everybody in my personal space in my home around my kids. Like it's just a lesson learned, I think, throughout the years. But I'm glad I learned it early before some crazy stuff could have happened. But God, protected me in all of that. And I can now give wisdom to other married, I guess, women, young women that are kind of green to certain things. But I don't regret it. I think it's a learning lesson. And it's just something that I need to be cautious of, even, moving forward, just keeping that boundary. You can still have healthy relationships. That's one of the most healthy relationships I feel, with boundaries. And you don't have to give a person all of you and all of what's going on in your world. You can kind of compartmentalize your friendships, and it's so much more healthy.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
It was a lot, but that was my
that was good. Anybody else want to chime in? I saw Kramer was doing this.
I was just thinking about and like I said, I'll share my story. One of my friends, we used to literally hang out every day when she was single, and it was a huge adjustment when she got married. I accepted it, but my little heart was hurt. When I was engaged, and I said was on purpose, we'll get to that part later. When I was engaged, I was in this transitional period where it was we were blending families, his child and I and my mom and everybody. And so I had a couple of friends who were like, well, we don't hang out as much. And I'm like, girl, I'm trying to keep my head above water. I cannot breathe. I don't even have time to breathe. And it's like, were you just acting different? And I'm like, well, no, it's not different. It just looks different. You can't just come to my house and just sit in my house all the time. Or, I can't spend every single day with you like I was before. I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this child and this man and his child and everybody else. So I think for me, that was a boundary that I never had to place before, and it was uncomfortable, and it made the light bulb come on for myself when I thought about the previous relationship with one of my other friends. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. There's a shift that takes place. That doesn't mean that the relationship is over. It just means that there's an adjustment period. And once the adjustment period, once you kind of get past it, then you typically have a little more space to breathe and to invite people back into your life as you need them.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So Chantel, you mentioned boundaries for your children, and it made me think about something that one of my friends said, that he and his wife were very particular about who they would allow around their children while they were in this really young age, like 1 and 2 and 3, while they were like just kind of growing, throwing hissy fits and stuff, just kind of growing. They were protecting them from a lot of judgment and things like that. And so can you or Sarah or some of you, like with, when it comes to setting boundaries for your children, what does that look like?
I can say that for my kids, my boundary is my family right now. So my family knows kind of what my standards are for my kids and how to always be watchful. So even if I'm not on guard, my mom's on guard, my dad's on guard, I have a little girl, and also my son, he's 8. So I have a niece, my brother, like a lot of nephews. So they're all just kind of on the same page when it comes to what I expect for my kids. And so it's like a village that I have. And so I don't let anybody else babysit, because I know that they're going to be watching fully. And some people may let kids stay in the room forever and do whatever. But my family is kind of helping me have that safe boundary. But outside of that, I wouldn't trust kind of anybody. So that's just for me how I've been navigating having a daughter, 2 years old. She's about to be 3. And my son as well, he's 8 and still want to do things and try to act old. And so, they kind of help calm him down, and I give that permission. And so, we have a good flow with the family when it comes to kind of helping him. And then his dad, like him keeping him on track. And it's just it's a whole team of us. It's not just me. Like, I wouldn't even be able to do this right now if my niece wasn't here kind of helping me calm my daughter down so she won't be interrupted. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's a lot, but it's
yes.
worth it, you know? So that's just kind of how we got things set up.
Oh yeah, I've got one of those daughters too, Chantel.
You
I
see?
dropped her off down the road to
You see?
Auntie Ruth's house because I was like, I said I'm not gonna be able to get on here without. I'm sorry if y'all hear dinging. It's the text messages coming in on my computer. I'm having technical difficulties tonight. But anywho, it's okay.
It's okay.
I have a spirited daughter that I was like, oh, I gotta put you somewhere before I get up on this thing. And I got on my phone with Jessica. I'm like, I'm gonna be right back. I'm dropping them off real quick. But no, me and my husband are constantly talking about boundaries because they have their little Kindles. You know, I'm just gonna talk about media boundaries. They have their little Kindles, and even though it's kid safe, it's not kid safe. And
No.
you know, I grew up very a lot of people would say sheltered, but I find it a blessing because my parents didn't want to expose me to all that was in the world because they knew eventually I'm going to see, I'm going to hear. And so they kept a tight, not unhealthy, you know, but a tight hold on us and really introduced us to things or just talk to us about certain things when it was appropriate and, you know, the timing was right. But me and my husband are constantly in communication about boundaries when it comes to what are they looking at? What are they hearing? What are they seeing? What are they digesting in? Because whatever they're digesting in is going to come out. And I've seen it in them, you know, when we've laxed on media time and they are starting to get all emotional and I'm like, too much. This is too much. And then even with people, we're my family, like on both sides, we're pretty tight knit, which is great. It's a blessing, you know. So I'm comfortable with them going to certain family members' house. I know my sisters, I know their husbands and grandparents and stuff like that, but we don't do a lot of sleepovers, you know, because if we're just gonna, like I said, girl talk, I know as a kid I was exposed to certain things at sleepovers that I was like, oh no, I know the enemy. He sneaks in when I remember being exposed to something and my mom was in the living room next to me. I'm in the other room with one of my friends. And she's like, hey, let's discover stuff. And I'm like, and my mom's in the next room. You know, the enemy knows how to just seep in. And when we think we least expect it, so doors stay open. I'm like, no, we're not closing doors. You know, all those little things, because the enemy just slick and sly, and he will just maneuver. You know, just like a snake. You know, he'll try to come in, and so we're constantly that we're not perfect. We're constantly reminding ourselves, like on a daily basis. Watch what they're watching. What are they doing? You know, because sometimes I'm not going to lie, we'll get laxed and then I'll start sensing things spiritually. I'm like, the radar in my home is not right. You know, ladies, you start smelling stuff in the spirit. And I'm like, nope, it's time to clean house. It's time to clean house.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I understand.
Yeah. And let me just say, when having a 15 and a 12-year-old, those boundaries are so important because, you know, it's things it is that we set even here in the household, but we even have to set things in place for whenever they go out because we have no control over what they're being exposed to or, you know, who they're hanging around with at sometimes mainly at school. And with the things that are like just, I'm going to say loose for the kids to see and to get their hands on nowadays is like, oh my God, like, you know, so when it comes to inside the household, one thing that my husband and I love to do is we like to beat them to the punch. So before someone actually tells them or brings them, you know, to their attention, you know, we seem to think we young and hip and try to stay with the trend, you know, of things, but we do it so in an intentional way so that way we can have the conversations, you know, with our kids. And then whenever it comes to like sleepovers, like everyone knows in my family, Joe, I got a grip on the kid. I have a grip on them so they don't just go anywhere. And when they do go over, like just to say we went to our anniversary trip and we were gone for like 5-6 days. So one went to her friend, and another one went to her friend, because my mom, she had Cadence. Everybody know Cadences. Oh my gosh, she's a handful by herself. But when I release my kids to their friends' moms, it's like they're playing the role of mom, because I trust them just that much. I know them. I know their husbands. I know their kids. I know, their faith-based, and I know their life. So when it comes to that, we don't release our kids just to anyone, even with sleepovers, because like Sarah said, you can be exposed to so much just from a small conversation. You know what I mean? So getting just to know the people who your kids are going to be around, even including family, is so important. And even having those healthy boundaries as well, So yeah, that plays a big part.
That's good. Y'all, we got another question in the comments. So it says, how do you handle that with your mom? And she said she wants them to see my younger cousins. Her mom wants her kids to see her younger cousins. She says, but my younger cousins aren't the best example. I wouldn't let them around them by choice due to influence. So how do you handle that with people that you trust, but them bringing them around people that you don't trust?
I think for me, it's just a flat out, you don't. I know it can be harsh, you know what I mean? But with being a mom, one thing it is, like, you don't want to give gateway or even a peephole for the enemy to sneak in. So for me, it would just be, no, there's a reason. My no has a reason to it. You may not understand it right now, but later on you will. And even too, with understanding, I know I understand my kids. They can be, have their little moments to where they want to kind of test your gangster. That's what I call it sometimes. So when they're among other kids that they see doing that, I don't want no issues and problems in my house. So what we go do? We go cut it off. So for me personally, and also too, based from experience, I just don't. I don't entertain it. I don't have the tolerance for it, because I don't want to war with the aftermath. And that's just me personally. Yeah. And you pray about it too. Let me throw that little nugget.
Yes,
you pray about it too, but it's just so much, that can influence these kids so easily nowadays. It's just so much. Yeah.
If it's okay, I want to give a different perspective, not from a parent, but as a clinician. It sounds like mom wants a family. Like, she wants your family to be close, and that she values the closeness of family. And so being around cousins and things like that, that's a part of the family. I would say try to find a way where it's a controlled environment that you're comfortable with, that you're safe. I mean that the cousins come to your house, where instead of them going there, or vice versa, but whatever you're comfortable with giving space to, just something to kind of think about. If she values family and you value family, I feel like that's something y'all can kind of work out within the parameters that you're comfortable with.
That's good. Amen. Awesome. Well, y'all, listen. We're going to move on to our next topic, okay? So those of you that are watching, take a moment to share. Our next topic is about relationships. It still kind of flows the same way, but it's a little different. I want to start with Kramer, because she mentioned that she has something to share. We were talking about that, and so I want her to share your story about relationships, and we'll kind of go from there. Just kind of chat.
Where you want me to start, Jess? Anything?
Okay. So in relationships, where you want to start at? It don't matter,
That's a lot. So as I shared earlier, I was engaged last year. Wait, I don't even know. Woo, time has flown and I have healed. But anyway, I was engaged to be married August of 2021, which I called my engagement off last June. And I think that is probably one of the hardest but powerful things I've ever done in my life. And one of the things that I learned from that sometimes and we were talking about boundaries and relationships and things, that sometimes some things have to die in order for something else to be birthed. And that's where I sit with that relationship ending. And I wholeheartedly believe that God covered me in a way that I can never, ever, 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 ever explain or thank him for. But I do believe that love is patient.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
kind. And I think the hardest part for someone who has been single for a very long time is growing like weary in that waiting season. And I think if I could encourage any other young ladies or men who are waiting, is to use that season to bloom yourself, so that when something does come along, you're very clear as to what's coming. And I feel like God made no mistake when he placed me in that relationship, because he knew what I needed to grow, what areas I needed to grow in, and to be able to stand firm in moving forward.
Yeah.
Man, that's
Good.
good.
That is good.
Can I speak on that a little bit? So,
Absolutely.
I was engaged to. So I've dated 2 men in my life. One previous, and then my husband, and one previous to him, and thought the first one was the one, and was in and out. Yes, 2 years of in and out, and I kept on convincing myself, this is the one. This is the one. But I felt the Holy Spirit saying, this is second best. This is second best. And I kept on hearing that. And I didn't want to believe it. And I didn't want to believe it. And finally, I was like, I can't, okay, I have to heed to the Holy Spirit. And I poor guy, I was like, here's the engagement ring. I did that to him twice, because I was like, I didn't want to hurt him. And at the same time, I felt the tugging of the Holy Spirit. And I remember I broke it off, and it was a year. The Lord took, I think it was 2006, a year of healing and restoration. And the Lord just did a number on me. And I remember I went into 2007, and the Lord whispered to me and said, get ready for your husband. And I said, no.
That's how I feel too. You want me to
No, I said, I can't do that anymore. I said, Lord, he was controlling. And I was like, I cannot do that anymore. And he said, that wasn't the one. You will know this is the one. And when Daryl came into my life, he came into my life as a friend. And the Lord gave me instructions. It's funny, when he told me get ready, he gave me 3 things to prep for. And but when Daryl came into my life as a friend, and the Lord began to speak, and it took almost a whole year for me to be convinced that he was the one, because I was like, I'm not doing this again, God. I am not making the same mistake. And he said, you will know. It will be like light and darkness. You will know this is the one. And boy, did I. But I'm not a stranger to, like, I thought this was the one. And then when the one came, it was just like, oh my goodness. Yes, this is the one, and it was, the Lord gave me a word. He gave me dreams. He gave me signs. He gave me everything I asked for, because I was like, I need signs. I need a word. I need dreams. Like, I had a list for the Lord, and by the grace of God, he fulfilled every one of those, because I was like, I cannot make a mistake again. And he did, and he was so faithful. But I remember that season of healing and restoring me back to what I felt like I lost in that previous relationship, and God restored me. And it was hard, because I went through loneliness, a lot of loneliness. And I wanted to run back, but I was like, if I run back, I'm running back to something that's unhealthy. But I remember just pushing through loneliness like mud. I was just like, okay, I can get through this. I can get through this. And I remember at the end of that season, I felt like God had restored. And then he was like, all right, now you're ready, And it's funny when you tell the Lord no, he's like, all right, boo-boo. Yeah, sure, okay.
We were talking about boundaries and relationships and stuff, y'all. This is how I knew. I kind of started feeling some things, and I instantly knew when he treated someone who I valued as a friend a way that I did not like. And that was my boundary. I said, if he is treating this person who I love and I care about this way, then this it's not gonna work. This is my boundary. I can't. I'm good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Anybody else want to share a little about relationships?
Mm.
That's okay. So, um, let's talk a little bit about single seasons. Sarah shared a little bit about it. So, though I know three of y'all married, three of us single. So, yeah, that's crazy how this happened. But hey, Janae. Janae said that's so good. All
She
right.
knows.
So, what single seasons? What was hard? What was easy? Just kind of chat through a couple of those things. I know Sarah said that the Lord gave her three things to prepare for marriage. Like, how did those of you that are married or any of those other single, like, how did you prepare for marriage? Like, tell us your story. Thank you, Danielle. Danielle said this is a great girl talk.
So if we can just be humbled, open, and transparent.
That's why we
I was yesterday, me and my daughters were talking, and she asked me the question on engagements. I told her, I said, I've been asked 5 times. Yeah, I've been asked 5 times. I know, weird. And I accepted 3, but I only went through with 1 with that. In the previous engagement I had, it was just a lot of verbal and financial abuse in that. So I knew that was not it. But coming out of that, as Kramer and Sarah, I had to do like a lot of healing. Oh my God, a lot of healing, like where it literally was me like shutting everyone out and just really focusing on myself. And still to this day, many people feel as if I abandoned them or like I just rejected them or, didn't want to be bothered with them. But that was a work that God had to do in me that required no distractions from no one else. And I also too had 2 kids at the time. But coming out of that and also to having my kids when I was young is I didn't have like the party girl experience to me. Let's just be, transparent here. So I know for me, I was always in church, but not really getting churchy. So I was a party girl. I really was. I was that girl on, weekends, dressing up, doing whatever. So for me, what I had to do was coming out of my healing season and then going into my party life. That's what it was. That's what my journey looked like. In order for me, I remember one time talking with God and telling him, I do want to be married one day. So then I had to ask the question, what does that look like? That didn't require me going out and partying. It didn't require me hanging out with certain people. It did require me like really getting a firm foundation in a relationship with God. That's what it looked like for me. And also to trusting people around me who can help really sharpen me and mold me and speak life into me. So what that looked like is really me just giving up the party scene. All of the things at the times that was like my yes people or like my yes items rooting for me and making it seem like what I was doing was okay, and really getting plugged and connected with people who can hold me accountable to things. And also too of asking the question of what did I want to be and what did I want being a wife to look like. My prayer was I want to be able to, have my kids. I want to be a stay-at-home mom. I want to be able to drop them off to school, pick them up, run my own business, and really have a husband who would take care of it, but also to treat me, as a valuable woman that I would be. So it was more so on getting plugged into people who can hold me accountable. And 2 of the books that really helped me in that journey one was called 10 Rules to Dating by Dr. R.A. Varon out of Ohio. And another one was called Living Single. I call him Uncle Tony Evans. That helped me in that journey. And it helped me get a mind and like a perspective of what wife material really look like, because you always say, well, I know for me it would be like, I want to get married. I want to be a wife. But what does marriage even look like? And even though I had it around me, it wasn't so much of like healthy marriage, you know what I mean? But getting into the boundaries and the perimeters of kingdom marriage and what that actually looked like, and getting around my we people, my core people, to help me with sharpening that image of the product of it today is me and my husband. So it was a lot of pushing and pressing and warring with God, but to this day now I'm really thankful of going through that singleness, you know, and being able to discover Johanna and who she is. And it's still a journey to this day, but understanding first who I am in Christ, and then who we are together in Christ with my husband. So yeah, it was a journey. It's still a journey, because marriage is, it's a journey. It's a journey. It ain't for the weak at heart. It is definitely a journey.
Yes.
So yeah.
That's good.
Mhm.
Anybody else want to chime in? Well, Joe, I'm just, it's beautiful how God answered your prayer exactly how you prayed it.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
you wanted to take your kids to school and pick them up. You know, they might be running you crazy sometimes, but it's like you're living that. You're living your prayer, and that's just,
Yeah.
that is beautiful.
Amen. Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. I saw Chantel come off of mute. That's why I was waiting for her to talk.
Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to practice not interrupting and listening better. So,
You good, girl.
like, I can say for me, I got married young, but in the singleness, I was just real broken in my singleness, and it drew me to God. So my focus was mainly on spending time with God, learning His ways, just figuring out who I was. But I really just figured out who God was, and then later on through my life, still learning, who I am. So it took a while for me to get to that part, but in my singleness, my focus was to just get healed from my brokenness of my previous relationship in high school, which was abusive. It was toxic. It was a hot mess. It caused me to want to commit suicide. It was just, it was not good. But it did draw me to God, and it just took so much bad things to have to keep reoccurring for me to really get out of it. But once I got out of it, it just put me on my face. I was led to the right people, and I just literally let go of everything that I knew for self, and I left my hometown. I went to a church in Abbeville, and I just gave my life over to God. And I sacrificed a lot of things that I believed at the time was my identity. I just sacrificed it all for God. I was just so desperate. And so I don't regret it, because it really taught me my foundation. And I think that's why I was able to even get married young, because I went through that phase of devoting a year, or a year and a half just strictly to God, no dating, no, and then my husband, he's been in my life all my life. I've known him since he was a kid. So it wasn't like I had to be introduced to somebody new, but it was still a journey, because you still got to figure out people when you marry. It's still, different. It's still a job. But we both were willing, and then he gave his life to God just by looking at my desperation for God. So it was just all like,
that's good.
Yeah, it was all ordained. I just call it like, that's what happened. And we got married young, and we went through a lot of hardship in our first 5 years of marriage. And then over that 5-year hump was like, okay, we love in life, we in loving each other, we're discovering new things about each other, and that was it from there. But the first 5 years was like a very hard time, even though we were in God. And I know it sounds crazy, but it was difficult for us the first 5 years. But after that, it was just like smooth sailing. Okay, we're not letting people in, we're letting God in. And I really, now that we're talking about boundaries, it is really what we did for the marriage to get better. We started going to counseling, we started setting boundaries, letting go of certain friends, certain environments we used to go to, we wouldn't go to anymore. So I think that's important in every aspect, like parenting, like we're talking about friendship. And also, now that I'm thinking about it, that's when my marriage got better, when we set boundaries. So
Yeah.
because we were kind of so young, like we just listened to any couple that gave us advice, anybody that told us to do this, like we did that, and even financially made the wrong decisions because of people. So we were just kind of tossed here and there for a while, and then got solid once we let go of the voices.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's good.
So that's my story.
Yeah, girl.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
So would somebody share how did you keep how did you hold on to faith in those discouraging moments with family and friends, if it was regarding marriage, or in your singleness, putting them pressuring you to get married? When I'm going to get a niece or a nephew or a grandchild, or how did you hold on to faith in some of those moments where you felt that pressure from them?
I think it's a everyday thing.
Mhm.
Just realizing that God created me very specific and unique. And I think, like I said, going through the breakup is
Mhm.
what kind of kept me faithful, because it's like he literally closed one door and swung another door wide open. That
Wow.
wouldn't have that wouldn't have happened. And when I speak about the door that he swung wide open, I mean in regards to my business, because I had my business and my business plan since 2018, before I even met the person that I was engaged to. Well, I knew him. Let me not say that. We've known each other a very long time, but before we were in a relationship. And had I not gone through what I went through in the relationship, I wouldn't have had the faith to just kind of step out and do it. And it was I feel like my faith went to a whole different level. I don't know what the shift was or how it happened. I just remember saying, God, and I had taken FMLA. I was so hurt and broken. I just needed that time to kind of just recover. So during that time, I was just like, I can't go back to anything that's old. That meant work too. It has to, you literally have to do something new. And I remember saying, okay, I'm gonna open my private practice August, whatever. If I don't have a client by this day, then I'm gonna go back to work. What in the heck was I thinking about, y'all? But anyway, crazy faith. And it literally happened that way. So if God can do that thing specifically for that thing, why can't he do it in other areas of my life?
Yeah.
Talk about God performing miracles in the Bible. He's still performing miracles, but we don't see it as that. We're not humble enough to see it as that. So I think that going through different trials and things that are maybe painful and uncomfortable, it really pushes you towards those things that he had already purposed for you. So if I can remain faithful over all of these other small things, then I know that I can have enough faith for the relationship that he has for me.
Yeah. That's good. Amen. Anybody else want to respond to that?
I just want to say, Kramer, I really do commend you, and I just want to say that I am proud of you. Just to see you blossom and bloom, that's a strength in itself, and it's truly a testimony. And God, he's got so much more. So yeah, I can't wait to see it.
I believe that, girl. That wasn't it.
That's okay. It's okay. It's because what he has is perfect and it's good.
Perfect and good.
Yes.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be like what Sarah was saying earlier. You thought that was okay, but when the right one comes along,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just speaking to other single women. Don't allow other people around you to feel like you have to have somebody now.
right?
Especially family, because they mean well. People mean, I promise they do. They just want to see you happy, but happiness comes from other things as well. And of course, and naturally as a parent and things like that, they want to see that too. Like, oh yeah, I need my baby to have her. Give her a man. Yes, sure. But search yourself. That's what I can say. Just search yourself and allow God to just to kind of prepare you, like kind of like Sarah was saying, like how he told you exactly what
Mhm.
it is for you. And I remember telling myself, like, and I keep saying love is patient, love is kind. And I wasn't seeing patience, I wasn't seeing kindness, I was seeing everything but that. And I just kept saying, no, no, no,
Mhm.
no.
Yep. Yep.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Hey, Serene.
Oh, hey.
Hi.
Beautiful.
Thank you. She came. I don't mind. If y'all don't mind, then I'll make sure
We don't
she's
mind.
Mhm.
We thought we were going to have Elliot on with
I
Sarah
know. Now I
tonight.
forgot about kicking my kids off.
It's okay. I had her in the other room with her brother for a little while, and she had enough.
Oh,
Let
but
them
no,
out.
like I said, we all chilling, sitting in the living room, chatting.
Mhm.
So that's good. I love how, I love how we get to talk about just all of this stuff with each other. It's so sweet. So I want to kind of pivot a little bit. I think all of you kind of lean towards that topic about self-care. Like, what does that look like for you? What does you taking time out for you look like? Of course, I think we kind of talked about it when we were talking about boundaries as well. But what does it look like for you? Self-care.
For me, I can say it's definitely making sure I make time for rest,
Mm-hmm.
making Sabbath a necessity, a part of my routine. I don't always hit that mark, but I do strive for it. Uh, I do tend to um, get in work mode a lot, and I will spend several days in a row working 12-hour days, just
Wow.
trying to make stuff happen.
Mhm.
So for me, it's just trying to carve out time to be able to mentally shut down
Yeah,
and you know rest.
that's
Yeah.
good.
I think for me, it would be like what Amanda said, to mentally shut down with, being a business owner, husband, kids, and all these other hats that we wear. Many a time you can get lost
Mhm.
in the daily task of what's required,
Mhm.
of you. So I know sometimes, even here at the house, I have to tell my kids, like, let me just shut my brain off just for a
Yeah.
little while. To me, that is self-care. Or like if it's really getting like out of hand, my husband would say, hey, go get you a hotel room, go spend the night, we go order you some food, kick up your feet, because he knows with the daily tasks of everything that we have going on, if I'm not good, the house is not good. If I'm not good, the house is not good. So many of times I just have to stop and put my oxygen mask on,
Mhm.
and just breathe, and to know that it's okay. I know, like, as moms, and just women in general, like, we just want to be natural nourishers. Like, we just want to take care of stuff and get things done and just be there. But learning how to just be okay with not being okay,
Mhm.
being okay with saying no, being okay with not getting it done, being okay with the laundry piling up, or the dishes sometimes, just being okay. So for me, that is self-care, of just learning how to prompt my feet up and just be like, that can wait, like, I don't have to tend to it like right now, or even like if the noise of things just become too loud, to where, Joe, go journal, go in the park, go get you a massage, go do something, because when I'm not okay, the house is not okay. The household is not okay. So that's what self-care for me looks like. And I had to even learn how, like, at first I felt like I was being selfish. Like, why you want time to yourself? Your kids need you, they're missing out, because then too, I have a 2-year-old, so you always want to catch those moments of first. But it's like, it's okay if you don't see it or you don't get it. You're going to catch it the next time around. So just being okay and being secured, even in myself, of knowing that it's not a selfish act. Like, I really have to make sure that Johanna is okay, so I can be okay, so everyone else can be okay, and I can be effective and at my best for everyone, who's connected to me. So yeah.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. I was feeling like that, like I was being selfish for sending them off to my mom's for the weekend or, paying for a babysitter for a few hours. But I mean, it's really not selfish.
Yeah.
It's filling your cup. And I've even taken a trip to Chicago. Like I left for the weekend. My husband just was like, go. And I met with another girlfriend and we just stayed for the weekend. And it wasn't something that I'm used of, but it was needed, and I came back on fire, So if I gotta go to a conference or Maverick City's coming up, something just to get away and enjoy myself, or go and like I was at the festival. I went a few times with the kids and by myself, which it was a balance. So I took the kids and then I went again. So I don't know. I just feel like when I'm happy, everybody else is happy.
Yeah.
So y'all just better keeping me happy. And it doesn't require money. For me, it's just a good time. It's building memories. It's stuff like what we're doing tonight. That's filling my cup up right now. So yeah, that's part of my self-care. So yeah.
Yes.
I do a lot of stuff, y'all. I'm the therapist that be telling people to do self-care, so I be picking up their stuff that they be doing too. Yeah, I sleep a lot.
Get your ass, girl.
Look, that way he different from Jess. Yeah, she relates.
I'm just making sure Jess didn't fall.
She related to
it. Fall. She fell.
Okay. She like to sleep too, y'all. I don't mean to tell her business.
Oh my.
Oh yeah.
That was good.
But no. So yeah, self-care is setting boundaries. I even have to set boundaries with myself for my business. It's me saying no to clients who want to see me out the blue on a day that they not scheduled. Self-care looks like me walking every day in between my clients because something about the fresh air just changed my whole mindset. I take long baths sometimes, kickboxing because sometimes I have a lot of things that build up. Sometimes we get a little angry,
Yeah.
Hormonal. That's how I call it. Hormonal. And vacations, like I have to take a trip. I can tell when it's time for me to like move around and do something because I feel overwhelmed with everything and everybody. So yeah, that's it. Sleep.
Yes, I want to echo that travel thing because I love to travel. I will prioritize finances to traveling. And I would always recommend if you haven't done it, going somewhere by yourself for an entire week and doing whatever you want with no one else's expectations. Go by yourself. I did that a few years ago for the first time, and it was so liberating. It was so fun.
Yeah, solo travel is awesome. I forgot to add, y'all. We talk about self-care, and I think that social media has glamorized self-care and made it this thing. Like, oh, you go do this, you go all that, and all that's great. I'm not saying that to take away from anybody's method, but self-care is that thing that you wake up and do for yourself every day that you know that you need. Whether that means you grab your cup of coffee consistently every morning, that's your self-care. Whether you read your devotional every morning, that's your self-care. Whether you just sit in your garage when you pull up.
Girl, that's me.
That's the ministry there. Sit there for.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. Wait, Joe, did you call it the park ministry?
Listen,
it's also a park ministry.
You talk to God. You tell me you got to tell in the car. You put the text in. You do the email. You don't send. Everything happens. In the car. I be having my husband calling me. He be like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like 45 minutes don't went by, but I'm in the car, so I understand. Yeah, Kramer, that is the thing.
No, and I be in there with the garage down, and ain't nobody in my house telling me
everything gets done in the car. If it's a hard day, I'm going on that worship song and put it on repeat. And I'm just in the car, just crying and sobbing and talking. releasing whatever I need to release. You know,
Yes.
like
Absolutely.
yeah.
I call it the car
Oh, yeah.
ministry. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that and
That's-
hey, look, Sonic Ministry.
Hey.
I've been and sat in the Sonic, and Daryl's
Mhm.
like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm sitting at Sonic. I got my little drink, my little mozzarella sticks, and I'm like, this is mommy time right here. This is
Yeah.
gold right here."
Oh, Lord, y'all scaring me.
In the garage. Hallelujah.
Mhm.
So you mean to tell me when I had kids, they gonna take my garage time too?
They're gonna see you at the door and they're gonna come and walk out and meet you. Okay.
And meet you where you are. Listen, mommy, you're gonna hear mommy 1,000 times in one day.
Oh yeah.
That does not exist. It's just mommy.
Auntie Jess, they can come to your house when they come.
Everywhere, okay?
Mhm.
Yes,
But
indeed.
yeah, self-care don't have to be this major thing. Like,
Right.
like TV and other people make it sound like it's this big extravagant thing, and it's
Yeah.
not. Whatever feeds your soul, whatever gives you that moment that you can
Mhm.
just take care of yourself and just say, "Oof,
Yeah.
okay, I can do all the things. I can do all the things."
Mhm.
I can do
Yeah.
them all.
That's
Mhm.
good.
Or even just setting goals for yourself, you know, and just reaching and accomplishing them, you know, little by little, you know, of the things it is that you do. That's even within itself self-care, you know, right there. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes, indeed.
I've also been told by my own therapist that it could also mean working on your own stuff and
Mhm.
not just everyone else's. I tend to procrastinate a lot, and I will prioritize work I do for other people instead of working on my own stuff. And so it's also being able to say more yes to your own work that you want to
Mhm.
work on, even if you're not making money on it yet.
Yeah,
I love that. Okay.
I like
Yeah.
it. I like it. I like
That
it.
is good.
that's good. So how can you any of you guys encourage somebody that's watching today? How can they identify those moments, like those check engine lights? You know, like how can they identify those triggers to know that okay, I need to pull away and like focus on me right now for this moment. How can somebody identify those triggers?
When you
I
have
think
oh,
no, go girl.
for me, it was the tugging that I was missing
Mm.
something. And it was just this emptiness that I felt. Oh,
She say it's showtime. Wow.
I can't even take this serious.
That is too funny.
No, this is all day.
Self-care. This is self-care. I needed this. I needed these laughs. Oh,
Oh
man.
my gosh.
Oh,
Yes,
my
yes,
Oh
yes, no, one moment. Just one. Come on. I'm not gonna kick you
Oh,
out. Come on.
Give us a-
Okay.
give us
They fun. See, they laughing. They say hi.
Hey, girl.
Okay. Look, they just saying hi.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, shit.
Well, for me, I felt it tugging.
That's gonna be my
can't
favorite
breathe.
moment of tonight.
Yes.
I can't
Hey,
breathe.
blooper.
No, it's being recorded. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say I felt it tugging, like, man, I'm missing something. There's something inside of me that I know I can give, but I'm not giving myself that time at all to even tap into what's inside of me. So it's that's when you got to start realigning and say, okay, let me get these boundaries. But for me, it was different. It was last year. I was in my kitchen cleaning, and the way God talks to me, it's like random. It's not always like every night I'm getting a word or something. So I'm in the kitchen and I'm busy just trying to get things together. And he said, get off of social media for a month. And I said, excuse me, sir. So he said, get off social media for a month. I have some things I need to tell you. And I'm like, okay, well, how soon? Like, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna get off for a month. I was trying to plan it and everything. Well, the the first 4 days of my sacrifice, just pulling away from people, and just I had no other choice but to focus in on my gifts and myself, and nothing distracted me. So that's the first 4 days the book was written. It's just hair, and
Wow.
everything from my childhood that I thought about as a kid. That those are some of the words that are in the book. So it's a self-help book for girls to embrace their beauty. And it's not just Black and brown girls, it's Caucasian, it's Asian, it's so many different nationalities, so that every girl, not every girl, but most girls will be able to see a reflection of themselves in the book and find beauty, you know, from their hair. And those are the things when I was a kid, I would always get told, like, oh, you got the nappiest hair, girl, you know, you got to put a perm. So when I was a kid, I would always look around and say, like, the first words in my book is, my hair, why can't I get it to look right? This isn't fair. Beautiful long hair is all I see. I wonder why my friends don't look like me.
Wow.
And so that is just like thoughts in my mind as a kid that is now resurfacing into a book idea that came. And then a year later, the book is done. So that was a part of my self-care sacrifice, and say, okay, let me see what's inside and tap into my kid, like, you know, spirit, and see what's going. And then it just came out, and it's a book dedicated to my daughter and my stepdaughter. So my oldest daughter's gonna encourage her about her beauty and about her hair throughout the book, and take her on a journey, and she's gonna see different shades of, you know, just different hairstyles, different textures and everything. And it's gonna all tie into her identity at the end. So I just want to encourage everyone to, when they feel a tugging, like they're not doing something that's purposeful, it's in there, but you got to make that time, you know, to pull it out. You know, sometimes it's something dramatic that has to happen to pull it out, or sometimes God might tell you to take a break or sacrifice something. But whatever it takes, like, I just want to encourage people to tap into it, because it's a beautiful thing. Because now I don't feel that emptiness anymore.
Yeah.
And it was just gone after that sacrifice. It wasn't that I published it now. It was last year. It was like, okay, I feel like I'm releasing something that, you know, is tangible and it's going to help people. And it's not just, I didn't feel like, and I know I'm not inadequate. And I know that's the enemy that makes you feel that sometimes. But that's really how I felt, you know. It was just thoughts, you know. But yeah, so. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I know I've been rambling, but if you feel a tugging, then that's your sign to set some new parameters and see what it is that God is trying to pull on you, pour into you.
He talked to me like that too, sis. I walked past the TV one time and he was like, "No TV." It was right before our fast. I said, "Who, me? Who you talking to?"
Yeah, like, huh?
I walked past the
so
TV
random.
3 more times. I'm like, he couldn't have been talking to me.
No way. No. That's not real. But it's so random, but it's so necessary, Kramer.
Yeah, and he did it to me. I said, "Okay, all right." I read a lot. I had a lot of wisdom during that time. But I'm glad you brought that up. I take social media breaks intentionally. That's a part of my self-care, because I feel like we ingest a lot of stuff that we don't realize. And y'all were talking about your children as well, and the boundaries that y'all have for them for social media. But that's something we need for ourselves too, because even for children, they lack the maturity. And as we're growing, there's certain things that we lack maturity in as well. And we have to sometimes remove ourselves from those things so that we can, you know, see and think clearly, because we're ingesting all these people things, all that stuff. We just read and we're like, oh, okay, this is funny. But sometimes it's like, wait, do I think about myself like that? You know?
Wow.
Right.
Yeah. So definitely a part of my self-care. Every month or two, I take a break.
That's good.
Yep. Same here. My kids they like to remind me when I'm on my phone, Mom, you're on your phone too much. And I'm like,
yeah, my son,
right.
all the time.
But it was crazy. I had a moment. I'm on Instagram. I'm not on Facebook. I was like, I'm out of the Facebook world. I'm just going to keep my Instagram. It's like my family photo album. But I remember I had a moment. I'm watching the videos, you know, people's videos, and I'm watching their kids. And I'm like, and I felt like the Holy Spirit said, you're sitting here watching their kids, but you yourself, you're missing out on your kids' moments. And I was like, it was just a moment of just kind of like, okay, let's phone down and let me capture the moments of my kids. And you know, I'm saying it because it's so easy just for me, just to, you know, I'm watching people and their stories and their life. And I'm like, well, what about my life? You know, my kids' moments, you know, and I felt like this small in that moment. I'm like, oh man. And so I was like, so now I'm so aware now, you know, and of course my kids like to remind me, and I appreciate it. I'm like, welcome it, like, yes, tell mama I'm too much on my phone, you know, but I'm the same way, Kramer. I love to social media fast. I'm like, nope, I'm getting off, you know, even if it's for a few days, just to cleanse, you know, just cleanse my mind. And so yeah, I'm with you.
I recommend that to my clients a lot because we all battle with imposter syndrome, but that's because we have too much to compare it to.
Yeah.
Wow. Talk more about that, Kramer.
I mean, so it's something that we do subconsciously. It may not have any ill will or negative intent. You know, you get online and you see somebody like, oh, new business, and you're like, oh, that is beautiful. You think that you're just admiring it, but it can be something that you start to say, well, I don't have a business. You don't even have no desire to have a business. But because you're constantly seeing other people doing it, your mind is starting to be programmed. I need a business. I need a business. I should be doing this. I should have this. I should have that. And think about it. How many friends you have on Facebook? If you have 1,000 friends and they all posting something they're doing, or, you know, and sharing all of these things, you're ingesting and you're like, okay, so I'm supposed to drive this car. I'm supposed to wear my makeup this way. My body's supposed to be that way. And all of these things, you don't even realize it until you're laying in your bed and you're like, I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Why do I feel so anxious? Why do I feel empty?
Wow.
Because you're filled with so much stuff that doesn't even belong to you.
Right.
Yeah. Good.
And it also too can bring you to that place of comparison. You know, like whenever you're doing life and you may not feel as motivated or as, you know, encouraged, or to where you may be not fulfilling the things it is that you want. Once you get on that social media, oh, brand new business. Oh, we taking a trip here and we doing this. So, you know, it kind of makes you question, well, why I'm not doing this or why I'm not doing that. And instead of it coming from a place of inspiration, it can come from a place of jealousy or even enviness. So now you're dealing with that spirit, you know, as well. But going to the question, you know, like the indicator of the check engine light, I know for me, when I know my check engine light is on is when I'm used to pushing myself to do something and then I don't want to do it, nor do I have the desire to do it.
Wow.
Like I just don't do it. So I know for me, if something comes up and I know I need to get it done and I don't have that push on pushing forward and actually doing it, that is a check engine light for me to come back and to say, okay, Joe, what is going on? Like, where are you? What is distracting you? What do you have in your head? What do you have around you? Or even to my check-ins with my my core friends, like, am I checking in with them enough? You know, because we'll hold each other accountable, you know, for certain things. Hey, Joe, you say you was gonna do this. Are we supposed to be doing that? Why we, you know, we not staying on task with this? So it puts me in a place on like a mirror check, like, Joe, what is going on? Like, why are you procrastinating, or why are you not, you know, doing what it is that you said you were going to do? So for me, that's a check engine light, because I'm not feeling fulfilled. I'm not feeling as if I'm being productive. I'm not feeling as if I'm being effective, you know, on my day-to-day base. So it brings back to the boundaries, and it also too brings back to the self-care. It brings for myself, within myself, you know. So yeah, because I have to give myself, I don't know about you ladies, but I have to even give myself boundaries, because if I do not, I'm just gonna go, and sometimes it's not always a good thing or even a healthy thing. I'll just be doing it, and then whenever I get to the end of it, it's like you just wasted so much time doing something that served you absolutely no purpose, or it did not contribute to what was the goal, you know, or the task at hand. Like, what are you doing? So getting off of social media, as y'all mentioned, that is like one of the things I have to do, because if not, I'll sit there and I'll scroll, or even with Instagram, You know, I'm not a TikToker. I can't get with TikTok. I don't know why. I just
That was my boundary. I didn't download it. I was like, I got too
yeah,
many
I
apps.
don't even have it. I don't like even like the fact that now they have it on Facebook. Like I'm just not a TikToker. I can't never get with it. But if I do not put those boundaries, intact to stuff, I'll just go and I'll just get so far away from what is the task at hand of what I'm supposed to be doing. So yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Mhm.
I'm over here trying to set boundaries with this cake.
It looked like it's almost all gone.
It's almost gone, y'all. It's almost gone.
It's all good.
Yes.
sis.
So, one of my last questions here, and it's almost 8:30, so we're gonna shut it down in a couple of minutes. But and if anyone has any questions, please put them in the comments, or if you want to remain anonymous, you can email it to me. We definitely don't mind answering questions that you might have. Hey, is one of my students in the comments? Hey, girl. Yes. Janae said, child just been eating that cake for the last 45 minutes. Yes, that's good, y'all. It's a nothing bundt cake, and it's the chocolate kind. The chocolate chip. It's so good. So one last thing about this self-care and this boundary situation and relationships and all that. Can self-care be considered selfish? If so, what is the thin line between it not being selfish? Like, how would you encourage somebody with that?
Ooh, I need self-care, so I don't know how to answer this.
I don't know that it's selfish. I think it's about how you do it.
Yeah.
I think you have to consider the people that you're in a relationship with and the things that you're committed to. You don't, just because, we have to practice self-care, that don't mean we get to neglect our commitments.
Right.
Because self-care should be proactive, not reactive. A lot of times we try to neglect our responsibilities because, we got to go do self-care. Is because, baby, it's too late. We didn't miss the self-care. Now we're trying to go re-up and get some more. So I don't think it's selfish. I learned this recently. One of my things that a gift that I recognize that I have now is for public speaking. So one of my goals was to make sure that I had like speaking events at least once a month. And somebody reached out to me to speak for an event, and I just kept feeling this tugging, like, I want to do it, I want to do it, I want to do it, I want to do it so bad. But it was in the middle of when I planned to take my self-care trip. So I was like, oh my God, I just want to. So I had to set the boundary with myself to say, okay, so this is something that you're saying that you do. This is something you're preaching that you're supposed to be practicing. If it's something that you're, called to do or purpose to do, then there will be more. You can't say yes to every single thing.
Yeah.
And I knew I was done. Like I was burnt out. And I was going to force and push and try to pull to be a part of this event. And I know that I wouldn't have been able to give God's best in that moment. So I literally had to just say no and went on my trip to Houston, and it is well.
Amen. Amen to that.
I remember, I don't know if y'all know Priscilla. I don't know how to say her last name, Shire or Sheer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Love her.
I don't know how to pronounce it, but I know she mentioned on a podcast, and it stuck with me, that although she has a platform, although she's very, very high demand, getting invites all the time, she leaves margin in her schedule for the year, like intentionally. She'll only commit to 10 gigs a year. And I was like, wow, like somebody of her, stature, she just says that she's committing the rest of that time to her family, to her boys, to sports, to fun times, memories with her kids. So she intentionally knows what she wants to commit to beforehand, or if she'll get something randomly, she'll pray about it and see if God really wants it there. But I love that, that she takes the whole calendar for the year and only, commits to 10 engagements a year. That really stuck out to me.
Wow.
That, like what Kramer said, you don't have to say yes to everything, and that just yeah, that blew my mind.
It's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
And then too, I don't think it's selfish, but you just have to know and not be, neglect your responsibilities. As
Yeah.
long as you're not neglecting your responsibilities, I know as mothers we can get caught up in the self-care and enjoy the quietness, but we gotta still go back and get to the kids. We still gotta feed them and bathe them, and do so on. So I feel like as long as you're not neglecting, it's not selfish. Now, if you're neglecting, then yes, it would be selfish. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome. Whew. Well, ladies, this was good.
Yeah.
Good. I wish we could keep going, but listen, y'all got kids, y'all got jobs. We all got to, well, y'all probably got to get up early. Finally. Gosh, y'all have no idea how long it's been since I have not been able to sleep in.
Oh.
And so tomorrow I get to sleep in. And I'm really excited about that a little bit. I was telling Amanda earlier, I said, girl, I don't know what to do. I might stay up late just so I can sleep.
Just so you
Yes, I do the same thing.
Yep,
I
me
do the
too.
same thing.
And I'm gonna be up texting you. I always text you late.
Hey, that's what we do. Yes, but this was so good. This was so
Yeah.
good. I'm so glad we got a chance to talk, y'all. Okay, the comments, Janae says, when is the next Girl Talk? It is on the 15th. So that's 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now, we have a different group of sisters that's joining us, and we're gonna have a great conversation. We're gonna have a great conversation. We're gonna continue this conversation a little bit, talk about some more stuff, okay? So, does anybody have any final remarks, any final encouragement for anyone regarding anything that we talked about? Maybe something that you didn't share that you want to share? Just any final encouragement?
I'd like to say for the single people out there, no matter how long you've been single, don't let the people tell you got to change who you are to find your person. I ain't met nobody, I ain't got nobody lined up, but I've had a lot of people in my past try to tell me what was wrong and what I needed to do to catch me a man. Look, I am the way I am. There are certain things I know I need to work on and grow, but there's some things I ain't willing to change because I am who I am. If you don't like it, you're not the one for me. And I think more people need to be hearing that.
Yeah.
Like they say that part.
And also too, for people not to be ashamed of their stories. Whatever your past consists of, or whatever it is that you have went through, whatever it is that you endured, look at it to where it is like fulfillment for you, and it is a gift and it is a value that only you can possess. And understanding that experiences are one of the best teachers of life, and many of people don't get those experiences. So don't be shameful. Wear your stuff, whatever that may be, with pride, and understanding of whose you are, and you are God's daughter, or you are God's son, what I mean, and walk this thing out of life, called life, with boldness and with confidence, whatever that may be. And just to stay encouraged, stay encouraged. Get your people, your ride or die dolls who go do life with you and hold you accountable, because so many times people feel as if they have to look a certain way, or be a certain way, talk a certain way, or live life a certain way in order just to be, like, just be who you are and who God created you to be. And that's enough within itself. So, yeah.
That's good. Good.
Yeah, I do have one last thing. Somebody was talking earlier about your cup not being filled or whatever, and I had this vision, not a vision from God, but this illustration that came in my mind of when we're supposed to have our moments of being still, and I saw this cup, your cup that is supposed to be filled. When you're constantly moving and saying yes to everything, there's no way for your cup to be filled, because the whatever is being supposed to be poured into you has nowhere to pour into, because it's not being still. So I don't know, for whoever needed that.
Yeah, it's good. Remain still.
That's good.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, if no one else has any final remarks, ladies, thank you guys for being on here, having this great girl talk, this girl chat. Tell Serene we said hello again.
I will. She's
Yes.
in her own little zone.
Yes.
Lord Jesus,
Yes.
it's bedtime, so I'm gonna get her settled.
Oh,
But I
yeah,
really
we
enjoyed
done.
it tonight. I really did. Y'all have opened my mind to some new things tonight. Just listening to each and every one of you. So
Yeah,
Yes,
Same
this was
here.
fun.
Mhm.
good.
very
Well,
fun.
you guys, meet us again 2 weeks from now on May 15th. It's going to be a different group of sisters. We're going to have a great conversation, chat a little bit more. And like I said, this is just girl talk. We're going to chill. We don't mind the kids. We don't mind, as long as the child not screaming in the camera, we okay.
Right.
And that's why they know how to use the mute button, just in case. Because, I mean, this is about real life, and so we're just
Mhm.
chilling, talking about real life. You're a mother, so you're going to look after your children in this time, especially if you couldn't find anybody to watch. So, but I love y'all so much, and y'all have a great Sunday evening. Y'all know if you need anything, reach out. Ladies in the comments, thank you guys so much for all the love in the comments. We love y'all so much.
So
Meet us
much.
again in 2 weeks,
Mhm.
and we'll chat with y'all soon.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.